On Monday, prior to their game with the Yankees, the St. Louis Cardinals paid tribute to one of the greatest clubs in their storied history, the 1964 World Championship team. It was a group that featured some of the most iconic names in baseball lore, one that continues to take tremendous pride in a late-year charge that earned them the National League pennant, leading to an unforgettable World Series with the Yanks. The Yankees and Cardinals share more World Series hardware than any other teams in Major League history. The last decade that passed without either franchise crowned a champion had two presidents named Taft and Wilson, a reminder of how these two titans of the game have shared the spotlight. But the last time they shared the World Series stage together was in 1964, when the Cardinals rode the heat of Bob Gibson and the Bombers saw the closing of a dynasty. It was October 1964, with names like Lou Brock, Bob Gibson, Roger Maris, and Mickey Mantle on the roster for both squads.
Well, the 1964 World Series was a special year for us. We had won in 60, 61, 62, 63, and we were playing against the St. Louis Cardinals, and it went down to the 7th game of the World Series.
Managers Johnny Keane and Yogi Berra are ready for the final showdown battle. Starting pitchers Mel Stottlemyre and Bob Gibson both will work with only 2 days rest.
I pitched so much, my arm hurt so bad that I didn't know if my arm was ever going to get well after the series was over. But you know, if you can't get up for stuff like that, then when can you get up for it? And I think everybody on our team felt pretty much the same way.
The Cardinals dash onto the field. The capacity crowd is tense as it eagerly awaits the first play. And here it is. Ken Boyer throws out Phil Linz to start the ballgame. In the second inning, the Yankees have the bases loaded with 2 outs. But Gibson gets Stottlemyre on strikes to end the threat.
One thing about Bob, he was such a competitor, such a guy that showed his emotions. Games 5 and Game 7, I'll never forget because of his tenacity, his endurance, and the quality of all of his pitches.
It was a pitcher's duel through the first 3 innings. Then in the 4th inning, the Cardinals struck first.
Stottlemyre pitches, and there goes Shannon. He slides in safely. Here comes McCarver. He scores a double steal. Stottlemyre delivers again to Maxwell. Dow lines a single to right. Here's Mantle's throw to the plate. It's late. Shannon scores. Cardinals are leading 3-0 in the 5th.
They continued to add to their lead by one of their best in-season acquisitions, putting the game almost out of reach.
Lou Brock rips into Downing's first pitch. A tremendous drive and might be out of here. It could be. It is a home run. Yogi Berra looks a bit shocked by the explosive Wallace.
But just like the storyline of the entire series, the Yankees battled back in the 6th.
Mantle belts a powerful drive to left center. It sailed deep into the bleachers for an opposite field home run. The 3-run homer slashes the Cardinal lead to 6-3. It shakes Gibson up a little.
We scored often and early to build a lead with 2 out and nobody on in the top of the 9th inning. And then Phil Linz hit a solo home run.
It's going back. It clears the left field bleacher wall, falls in for a home run. The Yankees have taken on new life. They now trail only by 7-5. Cardinal bullpen gets busy. McCarver talks with Gibson, who still needs 1 more out. And the troublesome Bobby Richardson is up.
That moment was when Cardinals fans realized the guy on the mound was going to be a Hall of Famer. Because our manager, Johnny Keane, went out to the mound to talk to Bob. And ultimately, after the game, when reporters asked him why he left Gibson in the game, Johnny Keane said, "I owed it to his heart."
I think probably if I had a great memory, it would be very simply that Bob Gibson, the great pitcher, was pitching, and then on that last time at bat, after 13 hits, I made the last out.
Richardson pops up. Down Maxwell. Gathers it in. The Cardinals are the new world champions. Gibson, Boyer, and McCarver join in a big bear hug. Now it's one huge swirling mass of players and fans. Wild enthusiasm, which is a tribute to baseball's unflagging popularity. This is one day St. Louis will never forget.
It was something that happened, and I got to thinking, I can remember being at home and smiling to myself. I said, we are the best team in the world right now. And that was a great feeling.
Well, you take a look at the year that was in 1964. A gallon of gas, 25 cents. Milk, under $1. Stamp, only 5 cents. Subway ride, 15 cents. Academy Award for Best Picture, My Fair Lady. The Grammy Award for Album of the Year, the Barbra Streisand album. The highest paid player in baseball was Willie Mays at $105,000. Notable TV show debuts. How about these? I mean, big-time TV shows. Gilligan's Island, Jeopardy, The Addams Family, Bewitched. The Beatles' American debut on the Ed Sullivan Show as well. Now, Jack, I don't know what was going on with the TV shows that year, but there was a slew of great shows in 64.
I love every one of those shows. I go to TV Land right now. I would watch every one of those shows. I would also listen to a Beatles album every now and then, a Beatles song. But I'm going to throw one more at you, Ryan. The winner's share for the Cardinals that year, slightly over $8,000. The winner's share in the World Series last year per player, over $300,000.
Yeah, times have changed a little bit. And also that World Series, Jack. I mean, I feel like so often when we talk about the 1964 World Series, we don't just talk about that actual series, but the ripple effects afterwards that we ended up seeing.
There's no doubt about it. If you read David Halberstam's great book, October 1964, that's exactly what he covered and how things changed, especially for the Yankees. They did not appear in another World Series until 1976. Of course, George Steinbrenner owned the team by that point. But from 1964 until 1976, a dark period in Yankee history, a lot of iconic players at the end of their careers. And the Yankees went from being a team that were so used to winning to having more than a decade of not winning. Steinbrenner bringing back that winning effect.
You know, there was one other momentous occasion in 1964. You were born that year.
I was born
You were born that year.
But I was not born to watch that World Series. I was about a month and a half later, and you know what? It was a great day in my life. Of course it was. But I went back and listened to the radio of Game 7 today. That's how interested I was, knowing that we were doing this feature. And, boy, it was great to listen to that game on the radio. And how about you and I were talking? Day baseball, men at the game with the suit and the tie. Well, it looked a little warm. Some of them had ties on. It's pretty neat.